Yes, guys, we are back with Championship predictions again. We are back for midweek predictions, Sophie. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you.
Yeah, you would say that because
Tell me why.
You actually did pretty well in Championship predictions last week. They are the scores. There was 13 games. I will also mention that you did get an extra point for the Wednesday game when Blackburn beat Portsmouth as well. So you've beaten me 13-6. So you have closed the gap. Well done, Sophie.
Yeah, but there's a massive gap.
Guys, be sure to share your predictions down in the comments. And before we get into our predictions, you know the drill. Let's go for a big like target, 2,200. It takes 2 seconds, and a massive thank you if you do hit the like button. Make sure to subscribe as well. It takes 2 seconds, and thank you for your great support. We're so close to 89,000 subscribers now, and that is brilliant. Let's get into the predictions, Sophie, and we start at Ewood Park for Blackburn versus Coventry. Now, I will stream this on the Tuesday. Do join us on the channel for that. It's a big game. Blackburn Rovers have certainly got a lot to play for. Last week they beat Portsmouth 3-0 and then they went away to Oxford United and lost 1-0, as you predicted, to be fair. As for Coventry, we went to the game as we beat Bristol City 1-0, and it's a big if, but if Coventry are to have any chance of making the playoffs this season, we have to win this game. But that is wishful thinking. Yeah. But let's see. If we win this game, it would be a bit of a start and it would give us something to play for in the second half of the season. I just don't know, though. I was very happy that we got a clean sheet against Bristol City, and if we can get another clean sheet here, I think we won't lose. But it's a difficult game. Blackburn have been very good. They've been more consistent than us. I really like John Eustace. And here's an interesting stat. Since Coventry came up to the Championship 5 years ago, in every trip to Ewood Park, for Coventry, it's ended in a draw. So I'm going to stick with that narrative. I'd be pretty happy with a 0-0. So I'm going to go 0-0.
Okay, yeah, even before that start, I was thinking I'd take a draw. I think we are capable of a draw if we turn up. I know Blackburn are a very good team, especially at home as well. I think they are capable of winning this game. They're in better form than Coventry. So, as I said, I would take a draw and I'd be happy with a 1-1. Especially if we're losing, and then if we snatch the 1-1, then I'd be more happy. If we're winning and then concede late on and then you just get a point, I won't be as happy, but even still, they're a good team, so it'd be a solid point. Yeah,
do share your thoughts, and fair play to the Coventry fans that are going up to Ewood Park on that cold Tuesday night. Good luck, and let's hope they bring home 3 points.
Bring back the 3 points, lads.
On to the next one, Sophie, as Derby County take on Sunderland. This one feels fairly straightforward to predict because Derby County are not getting any results, and you do fancy them more when they're at home, but they did lose at home to Watford 2-0 at the weekend. And Sunderland, they're still going great, but yeah, it was a missed opportunity not to beat Burnley in the end.
Definitely.
A draw at Burnley before the game wouldn't have been a bad result, but to miss 2 penalties.
Yeah.
Look, we'll come on.
2 great saves, to be fair.
I was going to say, we'll come on to James Trafford when we talk about Burnley, because I think he did very well, but the Sunderland fans will be frustrated. As for this one, I think they're going to go back to winning ways. Derby 0, Sunderland 2, and I will admit, I'm a little bit worried for Derby.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried for Derby as well, because we'd said that home form is very important, so then to lose at home to Watford, not a great result. So they need to get back to getting some points on the board, especially at home. I don't see them getting anything against Sunderland. I'm going to say a low scoring one. I'm just edging Sunderland 1-0 in this one. I think they'll pick up the 3 points.
Okay, yeah, that's the main thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just keep chucking points on, and they've got to go back to winning ways because Sheffield United and Leeds obviously won at the weekend as Sunderland drew. So, yeah, you can't afford to slip up too often at the top. The next game, Sophie, is between Hull City and QPR. It feels like a difficult one to predict because both capable of pulling out good results. QPR are one of the form teams in the Championship. Marty Cifuentes, I mean, sticking with him, what a good decision.
Yeah, that was genius.
Because they were bottom, and a lot of people were worried about QPR, but they've gone sailing up the table, and I wouldn't rule them out of finishing in the playoffs. No. I genuinely think the form they're in, they could do it. They've got good players, and I think they're going to come to Hull and cause them problems, but we've got to give Hull credit because we didn't see them winning at Millwall. I did predict 0-0, and I was a bit disappointed that Hull decided to take all 3 points with a 1-0 win. I could see this going either way, but I don't want to sit on the fence, so I'm actually going to back QPR to lose.
Oh,
I got you there.
Yeah, you did. You threw me off
there. 2-1 Hull.
I'm going 2-1 QPR. I think right now QPR are in fine form. Not taking anything away from Hull because that was a great result against Millwall. So if they could follow that up with another result against a strong QPR team, then yeah, they're going to start creeping away from the bottom three. But I don't know, I think QPR right now, I don't want to go against them. So yeah, 2-1 to the R's.
2-1 to the R's. There you go. We're going in opposite directions. So do share your thoughts on that game between Hull City and Queen's Park Rangers. The next one, Sophie, I love, as Middlesbrough take on West Bromwich Albion in a Tony Mowbray derby. We've got to talk about Tony Mowbray going in at West Brom. First of all, I'm so happy to see him doing well again. And second thing is, it makes me feel nostalgic because I remember him at West Brom back in the Championship in the 2000s. That was when it was the Coca-Cola Championship. I remember him at Middlesbrough as well, and he's going back up there. Was he born in Middlesbrough? I feel like Tony Mowbray.
Yeah, he's northern, but I don't know whereabouts.
He's northern.
That region.
I think he's from Middlesbrough. As for a prediction, this is a difficult one to predict. It's 7th versus 6th. Neither team can afford to lose to the other because, you know, it's a big game, isn't it, in the playoff race. So I'll go for a draw. West Brom only managed to draw against Stoke. Middlesbrough lost at Portsmouth. 1-1.
Yeah, I'm going down the middle on this one as well. I think sometimes when two pretty solid teams go at it, they cancel each other out, and that's what I can see happening here, which isn't really a bad result for either team. Probably suits West Brom more so being the away side, but yeah, for me, 1-1.
Yeah, is it going the same as me? Yeah. Massive game, isn't it?
It is really, yeah.
If they draw, that's a good result for the teams chasing the playoffs, isn't it? Because, you know, they're both not getting the win. Do share your thoughts. The next one, Sophie, I'm going to call it one of the biggest games of the week as Oxford take on Luton Town, because you got a team that came up from League One, you got a team that came down from the Premier League, and at the start of the season, a lot of people thought they'd be going back to where they started, but Luton are the team in real danger of relegation.
Yeah.
Yes, they've appointed Matt Bloomfield now, and that could really work. I think he's done a great job at Wycombe, but he's untested in the Championship. But who isn't untested in the Championship is Gary Rowett, and he's getting great results for Oxford. The reason I say this is a big game is this is the game Luton need to shift the momentum. Everything's going Oxford's way at the minute. They're moving away from the bottom three, and Luton Town are sliding towards trouble. If Luton can go there and just get the win, that could change a lot, because Luton would feel like there's positivity again. That would have stopped Oxford from getting too far away from trouble, and they've got to go and get the result. But I'm going to go for the informed team.
Yeah, you've got to.
I'm going to go 2-1 Oxford United.
Yeah, I'm going 1-0 Oxford United again. I think it could be a close one because Luton are desperate for points right now. They've got to do it by any means necessary. So a lot of the team have to fight here because they're coming up against, as you mentioned, they're an informed team. Oxford are doing very, very well under Rowett. So I think they will edge this one. I think it'll be a low scoring one again. I think I said 1-0 last time it paid off. So just hoping the same happens again.
Yeah, it was a good prediction last time. You got that 1-0 win. Do share your thoughts, guys. Massive game. On to the next one next then, Sophie. Is it an Ollie McBurney derby as Swansea?
It's always a derby with
take on Sheffield United. Sheffield United, Sophie, could win against Norwich, and it was a big win because Sunderland and Burnley had drawn the night before. They've gained 2 points on both of those. They've got to go and make sure they get the 3 points in this game now, and I think it's possible. Swansea, what were they doing at Cardiff? Absolutely battered. I'm going to go Swansea 0, Sheffield United 1.
I might go 2-0 Sheffield United. What I saw with Swansea against Cardiff, they usually turn up in the derby games and they just didn't seem up for it at all. It was really strange. They got absolutely battered by Cardiff. So maybe they'll want a reaction in this one, but they're against tougher opposition in my eyes than Sheffield United. So Sheffield United should win this one, 2-0.
2-0, yeah, they're the favourites, and you could see them going on a 4 or 5 game winning run and really sort of making that top 2 theirs. On to the next game, Sophie, as we go to Watford versus Preston North End. Watford, Sophie, good win at Derby County. They're back in the playoff picture, looking pretty strong again. As for Preston, 0-0 at Luton. Not a bad result, I guess, and you did predict that, to be fair. Yeah, Watford's home form has definitely wobbled. I'm going to back Watford on this occasion. I think they're back in form now. 2-1 Watford.
Yeah, I was tempted to say 2-1 or 1-0 Watford. I do just fancy Watford that little bit more. Wouldn't be entirely surprised if Preston came here maybe another 0-0 or a 1-1 and just grind out a draw away from home. But right now, I think Watford will build on their performance against Derby and they'll get it over the line again. So I'll go different. I'll go 1-0.
1-0, yeah. Do share your thoughts down below. But yeah, if Watford get the 3 points, it'll definitely be enough to move them back towards the playoffs again. And like I say, with Middlesbrough playing West Brom, you know, there's going to be points dropped there. The next game then, Sophie, is at the Den as Millwall take on Cardiff City. Millwall are not doing themselves any favours at the minute. They dropped all 3 points against Hull City, of course. You know, they lost 1-0 at home. I did have a Millwall fan telling me off for predicting a draw in that game. Yeah, I suppose you're right.
That wasn't right, was it?
You lost. But I am a bit worried for Millwall. I know they've brought in Alex Neil and he's an experienced head, but it just feels like they're sort of treading water and blowing in the wind. And they're kind of slowly but surely just moving down towards that bottom three. And if the teams down there like Oxford and Luton and Hull City start picking up the results, then Millwall could get sucked in. And Cardiff are another one of those teams down at the bottom that have picked up some results. Cardiff City are a form team, Sophie.
They actually are.
I backed them to beat Swansea, which was, you know, a big thing considering they don't tend to do well in the derby. But yeah, I'm going to back Cardiff again. Millwall 0, Cardiff 1.
Yeah, I actually see the same playing out. I'm going to say Cardiff 1-0. I think it's a great result and performance against Swansea because we've mentioned that they don't usually end up the winner in their derby games, but
that was emphatic, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and then as you mentioned with Millwall, they're not in the best of form right now. I did fancy them to get a result at home that didn't pay off. So yeah, so they're gonna lose again, 1-0.
1-0. Yeah, just get the 3 points, and yeah, I could see Cardiff staying up no problems.
Yeah.
I did do a video a couple of weeks ago where even though Cardiff were in a difficult position at that time, I just thought they're one of those teams that just too experienced to go down.
I've always said that, so I don't really see them going down.
No, and I could see Cardiff continuing to move up the table. Big game though. The next one is at Ellen Road, Sophie. This is obviously one of the playoff semi-finals from last season. Leeds United versus Norwich, and this game ended 4-0 in that second leg last season. I don't think it's going to end 4-0 this time, Sophie, but Leeds did win. Leeds did win 3-0 against Sheffield Wednesday at the weekend. Great win. I predicted 1-0, and going into the 89th minute, it was 1-0, and I was thinking, all right, I might get this right. And then Leeds just turned the screw. Sheffield Wednesday kind of fell apart in the end.
At the end,
it wasn't necessarily a 3-0 game, but Leeds did deserve to win, of course. I think they're going to win 2-0. I'm going to go Leeds 2-0. Norwich are a decent team, but they're missing Borges' signs. They've just lost 2-0 to Sheffield United, and I think Leeds are going to, keep going strong. 2-0.
Yeah, I fancy 2-0 Leeds as well. I think they will get the clean sheet here. We have seen Norwich struggle a little bit at times. They might turn up in this one and might surprise us, but I think right now, Leeds, in order to stay in that top two, they need to keep chucking 3 points at the board, and I think they're going to do it again.
Can you call that top two right now? I mean, I'm confident Leeds, but I'm not sure about the other team yet.
I know, and I was listening to Talk Sport last night, and they were like, Burnley had literally just like snoozing everyone to death to finish in the top two. They were like, it's boring. Well, a little bit harsh, but I can see what they're saying because, Leeds and Sheffield United at times are a little bit more entertaining to watch than Burnley, but it's results business, isn't it?
I know. I'd imagine Sky Sports would rather Burnley don't finish in the playoffs because that kind of ruin the playoffs as an advert, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Be boring. But yeah, I do think Leeds United will go up, and so do you, and we're backing them to win again. The next game, Sophie, is at Fratton Park as Portsmouth take on Stoke City. We must start by obviously sending our thoughts and wishes to the Pompey fan that passed away. I mean, it really puts things into perspective. Terrible, terrible news. And yeah, our thoughts are with everyone at Portsmouth Football Club. Awful, awful news. On the pitch, they got the win, and it was a big win. Matt Ritchie with a couple of goals, and massive win for Portsmouth. We certainly liked them more at home. They lost 3-0 to Blackburn away in midweek, and then they come back at home and they beat Middlesbrough. You can't make sense of them sometimes. They're at home to Stoke, Sophie, Mark Robins' Stoke, and Mark Robins hasn't lost a game as Stoke manager yet. They've had a couple of draws, but I thought a draw at West Brom wasn't a bad result. No. I think Stoke might get another draw, but I certainly could see Portsmouth winning again. I'm going to go 1-1.
Okay, I actually think that Pompey will get this one over the line again. I think, Stoke are very capable of making it difficult for teams because right now I wouldn't say they're a very good team because they're not. but Portsmouth at home, they can be a very good team. So that's why I fancy them more so to get the 3 points. I think they'll just edge it as well, so 2-1.
Yeah, and look, down at the bottom, sometimes you can get away with being dreadful away from home, as long as you're pretty good at home.
Yeah.
And I can see that being the case for Portsmouth. You know, just get a couple of results on the road, but predominantly get points at home as consistent as you can. And I think Portsmouth could stay up, but it's going to be close down there. There's not a lot to separate some of those teams. The next game, Sophie, is at Hillsborough. Sheffield Wednesday take on Bristol City. Obviously, Sheffield Wednesday lost 3-0 to Leeds on the Sunday. As we mentioned, it wasn't necessarily a 3-0 kind of game, but they did kind of crumble towards the end. But off the pitch, there's been a lot said about Chansiri. He certainly comes across, Sophie, as like a villain from a superhero movie, doesn't he? He's a bad guy, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, because of our restrictions, I can't say what I really want to say about him. I just don't think he's a very nice man. You wouldn't want him in charge of your football club. I think the more, I don't know, like interviews, fans forums he does, the more you dislike the man, and genuinely I think he is a bleep, but we'll leave that there.
He's not a football fan, is he?
No.
You know, he doesn't understand anything about football by the looks of it. And
Shay Charles is still there as well, so what was he on about? He's been recalled.
Yeah.
And he played.
I just worry for the Sheffield Wednesday fans because I really respect them. What a big historic club, and to be honest, they're in a position where it's not impossible to see them back in the Premier League within a couple of years. You know, Danny Roll is doing good things there, but if he's going to be undermined and not taken seriously by the people above him, I could see him walking out, which would be a dreadful shame.
It would, yeah. And the only people that impacts the Sheffield Wednesday fans, and that's who it's so unfair on, because Chansiri doesn't care, does he? He's made that very evident.
No, like I say, he's a bad guy, and we don't like him. As for Bristol City, we saw them at Coventry. They didn't really turn up, did they?
No. And I know sometimes when you turn up against a team that aren't playing very well, it can be very, very difficult to play against, and that's criticising our own team. So they almost matched us in that level, but then got outdone in the end. So
yeah, I didn't think Bristol City were dreadful, but I just didn't think they were very good.
No.
But they are a bit like that. You know, they can be very good one day, but not very good the next, and that's maybe why they're just not quite ready for the playoffs. I don't know. I'm happy to be proven wrong. This is a big game in the playoff race. If either team can win it, it'd be huge. But I'm going to go for a draw. But let's have some fun. Desmond.
Oh, okay. That was weird because if I was going to go for a draw, it'd probably be a 0-0. But I might just back Wednesday to get it over the line. I think it could be back-to-back 1-0 defeats for Bristol City. So 1-0 Wednesday.
There you go. And Chansiri's whipping his shirt off.
Danny Roll on the back.
Yeah, I know. Crowd surfing in the home end. No, we're obviously having fun and games. But yeah, do share your thoughts on that one. The next game, Sophie, or should I say the last game, is at Home Park as Plymouth Argyle take on Burnley. This feels a complete mismatch, and you can definitely see this being a Premier League team and a League One team next season. Plymouth, Sophie, they lost again at home to QPR, 1-0. Look, when they're at home, they have to try and get results, and they didn't. And they're in a position where they need results. Can they get a result against Burnley? I don't know. I think
maybe a draw, but I don't see them getting all three.
I think the best result they could get is a 0-0.
Yeah.
Because scoring against Burnley is so hard. We've got to talk about James Trafford. I mean, look, first of all, we can mention the first one's not a penalty. The second one, people are split on it. But
depends on the angle you watch it. You'd be like, that's a penalty. And then you watch another angle, like, it's not a penalty.
Yeah, but the thing is, Wilson Isidore actually hits those penalties really hard.
He does.
It's not like, you know, he hasn't hit it hard enough. It's just two very good saves.
Very good saves. He's good at penalties though, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm going to back Burnley for another clean sheet, and I think they'll just edge it 1-0.
See, I think it might be 2, because I think Burnley might go 1-0 up in like the first half, and then I think, I won't say the floodgates will open because it's not too many goals, but I think, yeah, Plymouth might get a little bit slack and Burnley will capitalise on that and make it 2-0. Because on their day, they can score goals. I know we've been joking, saying that they're a bit boring, but they don't concede many goals. I don't see them conceding in this one. It's just whether they want to score, because they have got the quality to do it. And to be honest, they should be winning this game, really. You look at it, and in the race for the top 2, definitely needs to be a win. So, yeah, I think they'll do it. 2-0.
2-0. There you go. And we're both back in Burnley, and we're both backing them to get a clean sheet. What a surprise. So, guys, do share your championship predictions down in the comments. Like I say, the games are coming Tuesday and Wednesday, so be quick. We will be back with championship predictions on Thursday. Thank you so much for your support. Make sure you've dropped a like. Make sure you have subscribed as well. Help us push to 89,000 subscribers. It only takes 2 seconds to subscribe. Thank you for joining me, Sophie.
Thank you.
And we will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.